Hello! Have you been collecting these little mini skeins and they're sitting around in your stash and you're like, Stephen, what do I do with this little yarn worm? Can I make a shawl with this? Not with just this. You need some more minis with it and maybe some other skeins from your stash. So let's look at 5 shawl projects that are perfect for using these collectible cuties. The first project that I think is perfect for mini skeins is the Painting Honeycombs shawl because it's also one of the easiest ones that I'm going to show you. You start really small at the corner here and you keep increasing as you add color pops for your mini skeins. I used 10 mini skeins for this sample, but you could use fewer colors or more colors, however you like. These were some of the types of colors that I used for my Painting Honeycombs. So when you're using those mini skeins, they can get really crazy when you're adding so many colors. So a good tool is to stick in one color family. When you stick in just one color family, it focuses the colors and brings them together and makes them have something in common. Another thing that really helps bring the mini skeins together is by framing them with a solid yarn. This is the Aubergine dark purple colorway. Aubergine in Westwool Bicycle. 2 skeins of Westwool Bicycle make the Painting Honeycomb shawl with 10 mini skein pops. But if you want a smaller shawl, you could just grab 7 or 8 mini skeins. Let me get all the beautiful pinks. You can never go wrong with gray. So get some shocks of color, get some light accent colors, and some moody, murky, in-between saturated tones. So grab a series of minis together, pop them with a skein of fingering weight yarn to frame the fabric for Painting Honeycombs, and you can bind off at any time for the Painting Honeycomb shawl. Super easy, super fun. The next easy shawl to knit with mini skeins is the Painting Waves. This begins just like Painting Honeycombs, but you do a wavy striped motif. I used 8 mini skeins for this sample, but you could do more. You could do your 10 mini skeins. You could do just 6 or 7 if you want a smaller shawl. This is quite big. Look how much fabric I got with just 8 mini skeins. And I love that. By sticking in a color family and framing those mini skeins with a color, like black as the main color, it stretches out those little cutie collectibles and makes a bigger fabric from these tiny ingredients. So I love these pinks and purples, but what if we go more smooth and smoky and get some blues and grays? Oh, this is a stunner of a palette. So I really like these framed by a dark color with black or maybe a dark gray. This is our Canal House colorway in Westwool Bicycle, and 2 skeins of this with all these mini skeins would be just a gorgeous color palette. When in doubt, I like to arrange my mini skeins from light to dark. Something kind of like that. Maybe put those blues together. So this will give you a really smooth transition and give this illusion of this light flowing and weaving in and out of the stripes. I really love that effect from light to dark. It organizes the colors and makes it less chaotic. It gives the eye somewhere to travel instead of a random grouping of colors. I mean, this would be really fun too. Oh my gosh, I'm getting excited now. These bright pops, how could I not? This with this, maybe take out some of the dark ones. I just made a palette. There we go. Light, bright, need more pink. There we go. This is fun. Can you imagine that with a dark gray? Or maybe a blue? No. I'm gonna go teal. This is my palette. Oh, this is the best colorway. This is Norway. It's a really saturated teal, and it is just so moody, and I really love this effect. When you have a dark color that's a saturated tone, and it clashes against all your bright pops. You'd need 2 skeins of Bicycle for the Painting Waves, and a bunch of pops. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I think I ran out of color ideas. Oh wait, no, this is another one. Look at this. Look at those little cute corners. This was made with 5 mini skeins for the color pops. So the main body of the shawl was done with a light, a medium, and a darker speckled yarn. So 3 shades of fingering weight yarn will be the main color, and then you have 5 color pops. So if you want something similar, we could get some pink, maybe a little bit of a splashy purple. We've got orange, pinky purple. We need blue. Ooh, I think this one and this one. This would be really similar. Really bright pops that clash and really have a friction against your main color. So those little mini skeins, you're not going to see them in the entire fabric. They're going to be little color opportunities, okay? The spice of your knitting. So you're not going to see them in the entire fabric. They're going to be accents to make it more playful and fun. And look at those, a little dose, this tiny little mini skein of 80 yards. You use it a little bit here, a little bit there, and it really goes a long way. 5 mini skeins for the Speckle and Pop Shawl. I'm going to link all of these shawl patterns down in the description box so you can check out those patterns, and I'll link to these mini skeins as well. It is so fun. Okay, we're going to make our colors pop with some bubbles. This is the Bubbles and Brioche shawl, and you can use just 1 mini skein for each stripe. So this is a great kind of stash busty collectible project where you use all those little colors. What if we do some blue bubbles? Ooh, yes. Yes, all the blues. Ooh, but I like the green. Okay, we'll do blues and greens. Get a flash in there. Okay, I've got all these color pops. Maybe I'll take out that one. It's a little similar. So get those minis together, pop them around, and you can have as many shades as you want. So if you also want to mix in leftover little yarn nuggets from your stash, you might have buckets like this lying at home. You just grab these leftovers, these precious little nuggets of yarn from previous shawl projects, and just mix those into your palette. So these are great to supplement those mini skeins so you can have more colors to work from. I like to be looking at it rather than looking for it with my colors. So when I'm putting a palette together, I'll put some minis together, and then I'll also grab some little yarn nuggets and be like, I don't know if I'm going to use this in the palette, but I'd rather be looking at it as an option than regretting my color choices later by not having enough options to choose from. So that's what happens when you collect yarn. You get into these situations where you have a bit too many color options to choose from, but you can edit your palette as you go. This is the Wavy Wiggles shawl, and this is the final sample I'm going to show you that just takes these little mini skein color opportunities to the next level. You can do a really bright stripe with 1 mini skein and use it for the I-cord bind off. I find that I use color pops for my I-cord bind off a lot because sometimes you run out of yarn when you're doing that really long bind off. So before you bind off your shawls, I think it's really smart just to say, I'm not going to run out of yarn because I'm going to use a new color and bind off with a color pop. And that just makes such a statement and frames that artistic palette that you've created. This Wavy Wiggles is made with stripes and simple short rows, and I promise it's much easier to knit than it looks. You have these yarn overs happening, but it's very repetitive. So as you knit the shawl, it's easy to memorize the rows because you just keep repeating the same rows over and over and adding stripes as you please. You might want to throw in some mohair, a little alpaca, mix in some speckles with your solid yarns. Ooh, I think that would be so much fun. And the answer to this type of project is more and less is a bore. You know, you want to have lots of colors to choose from, and if you have this spice of color that really shocks out of the fabric, then just do it once. Or maybe repeat it once or twice, so you don't have to use a big chunk of those crazy colors. But look how they pop against the neutrals. You know, when you look at this fabric, it's mostly creams and golds and beigey brown tones, but it's those spicy colors from the mini skeins that just ignite the fabric and make it more exciting to knit. Now, you might have these mini skeins already in your stash. If you don't, I totally recommend seeking out your favorite dyer and begging them to dye up these mini skeins. They take a lot of work to do and twist, so every time a dyer does these for you or does them in a shop update, send them a thank you, because it takes a lot of time to dye all these minis, but they're so fun, and there's a lot of the advent calendars every year where dyers are creating these mini skein kits and yarn bundles. You may have collected these minis and they're languishing in your stash and you're like, what do I do with them? can I make a shawl with just this little dinky thing? Yes, by mixing it with other shades, putting in those little yarn nuggets, mixing it all up. And remember, if it starts to get a little crazy, balance it out with a full skein of a solid yarn. That can help frame and tie all of your colors together. Well, if you've got these mini skeins lying around in your stash, dig them out, make them go on little yarn dates together. And if you haven't tried mini skeins yet, give it a go because they come in such a small form, and then it gives you a chance to try a new base or to try some colors from a dyer that you haven't tried before. So give it a try. All these skeins and patterns are linked down below, and there'll be more yarn reviews and knitting techniques and tutorials coming every week. So I'll see you in the next video.